Hello, I'm Davies. Welcome to As Yet Untitled. This is the show with no name, the show that hasn't really got any preparation or agenda or topics or themes or any idea what it's doing. But we will come up with a title for the show by the end of it. That is the plan. To do that, I need some help. So please really welcome my guests. Welcome. Here they are. Katy Brand is here. Katy Brand has impeccable table manners. Katy Brand. Ian Stone, welcome Ian. Ian Stone would like to apologise for late arrivals. Jack D, welcome back to Jack. Jack D doesn't know where he's going. And Lou Sanders, welcome back to Lou. Lou Sanders, who's not good with faces. Very good. I'm concerned, Lou, because before we started, you intimated that you can't get any food at home.
No, no. I mean, but it's just easier to get someone else to make it for you.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
You don't like prepping.
No, I had a lot on.
No food in the fridge.
No, I just thought... Well, I thought the food here would be... Because this is quite a high-end establishment, isn't it? Yeah. So I thought the food here... Well, for me, I mean, absolute bingo. So I thought the food here would be better than what I had in my cupboard.
What did you have when you got
Porridge. Oh, no, not here.
Do you arrive at 6 a.m? And all your meals here?
When she was put for the show, came down, it's been here ever since.
Things are going really well for me. I just want you to know that.
Why haven't you got food in the fridge?
I have, but it's all stuff that needed cooking. So I was up at 7 and I did have a bowl of porridge. And then I thought, don't have anything else, you ruin your appetite. Get down the hospital club.
Get a free knock.
What did you eat when you were here?
Well, actually, I had this thing that was like cauliflower, which was grated to make it look like rice. And I thought it didn't have any dairy, and it was basically 50% dairy. So it was actually a bit of a fuck-up.
Right.
Oh, it hasn't worked out well for the food.
It's a bad luck story.
I looked at someone's fridge once, and all they had in the fridge was a massive bag of fun-sized flakes.
Why would you keep... I find it weird when people keep chocolate in the fridge, anyway. Who keeps chocolate in the
I
fridge?
keep it in the freezer.
In the freezer?
Frozen chocolate.
But it goes all
Lovely.
white, doesn't it? And,
No, that's white chocolate.
Kind of mould on it. That it doesn't. It's not the best.
Yeah,
But if you ask a chocolatier, where should I keep my chocolate?
It's like we're walking down the Champs-Elysees.
And they will tell you not in the fridge.
Do they say freezer as
Kind
well?
of preferably on a piece of marble, room temperature.
And you can tell how good quality the chocolate is, apparently, because it'll snap if it's good quality. Whereas, like, if you break something that's like a kind of milk chocolate, like commercial milk chocolate, it just kind of goes...
Yeah.
So Twix
when you break
right.
it. Yeah. Anything
Twix
with
is the
biscuit
best.
in, obviously, yeah.
I find it very upsetting when people... I find it very upsetting when people bite into Kit Kats without snapping a finger off.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just,
Oh, yes, when
what
people...
the hell?
People put the two
It is a
fingers
missed
in.
opportunity.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
like if you've got a jar of coffee, you've got to pop that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Who has jars of coffee nowadays, though? No one, because it's not the 90s. It's all the machines.
I thought it was like in the 90s. Jars of coffee
No,
everywhere.
for Lou, the 90s is the distant past of her youth.
Now it's all the...
We had them in the 80s, you know.
That was all we had in the 80s, wasn't it? Jars of coffee.
Remember, we had a
And
coffee
Ross.
machine.
Coffee machine. And what?
Ross.
Bros.
Yeah.
Ross and coffee.
Yeah.
And Margaret Thatcher, of course, she was very much
she was
around
there.
in the
She was
80s.
around. I was going to pop to her top. If you put a Toblerone in the freezer, you could use that on intruders.
In all sorts of ways.
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Insert it in an intruder.
Well,
Toblerones are £1 down the pound shop.
Are they?
So you've got to ask yourself...
So's everything else, so Lou.
no. Fair point.
Now, Lou Sanders, you're not good with faces.
No, actually terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, just thinking of something else then, but I won't tell that one. So I went to university, don't want to gloat, and
What was your subject?
communication and cultural studies. That's why I don't want to gloat. Also, I only got a 2-2, but I had a great time. But then when I was there, I was like going out with this guy called Joe. Not really going out with, like, that's a strong word, I guess, seeing for a short period. And he was he was so beautiful. I guess we had that in common. And really, really nice. And then, okay, cut to 7 years later. So I was in a club in Chiswick. They've got a nightclub in Chiswick. And would you believe it, though? And
Isn't that just when all bar one stays
Yeah.
open late?
Umbaroni.
and so I was in the club and I was dancing, and this guy comes up to me and he's like that, kind of like his body gesture was like, it's me. So I was like, who is it? And I was like, he looked a bit like this guy Joe that I went out with at university. So I was like, Joe? And then he was like, yeah, I guess. And so then he pretended to be Joe, and I wanted him to be Joe. I don't know why he pretended to be Joe. He looked a bit like Joe. There were inconsistencies.
Maybe he was bad with names.
Maybe he was bad. He was bad with his own name. No, and then there were loads of inconsistencies. Like I said, oh, who was that guy that you used to hang around with at university? And he was like, oh, I'm not going to tell you. Because he didn't know, because it wasn't Joe.
Right.
And then, like I said, I said, oh, time's not been so kind to you, because he'd got worse looking and he'd got shorter. This is 100% true, right? It's 100% true. There's more that if I tell you this, you think I made it up, but this is true. Right, so I was like, oh yeah, time's not been so kind to you. And he's like, well, to be honest, like since university, you've put on a lot of weight, which was a lucky guess. I was like, that. And also it's exactly the sort of thing that Joe would say. And I've got a type. And it's Joe. And then, so anyway, so we went back to his house. Right, it turned out he moved. And so we went back to his house. But he still lived with his mum. So that was, when I was going out with Joe, he lived with his mum because he was 18. And this guy was about like 28, still lived with his mum.
Did you ever meet Joe's mum?
Yeah.
Right.
And met Joe's mum.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I get back to his house 3 in the morning. Oh, and by the way, in the club, everyone was calling this guy Ian. And I was like, oh, I wonder what Joe was short for. Because I was like drunk for the last 8 years before.
I feel like it's a story going to end with, Rita, I married him.
No. So we get to his house. No. So we get to his house and nothing happened, because that would be a bit grimmer. Well, I say nothing happened. He had a full tube of jelly tots. You know the family ones that you only get at Christmas?
So things are looking up. Yeah.
It wasn't even Christmas, Jack. And he's got these jelly tots, so I polished them off. Polished them all off. I polished them off and I nodded off. And then in the morning, I met his mum. Was actually a different mum. Then I was like, I think you've been fibbing. And, right, this is 100% true. This guy was... You might cut this bit out because people feel uncomfortable for no good reason. But this guy, when I was going out with him, Joe, was mixed race, right? That's not where people feel uncomfortable. Hopefully. I won't. No. So this guy was mixed race. His mum was white when I met her. This guy's mum, in the morning I met her, she was a black lady. That's when old. A trick.
You've changed.
Yeah. Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did get all them jelly tots.
Did you confront him, Ian?
Yeah. I said, you drive me home now, and you're a liar. And he wanted to get my number because he thought, oh, this is a nice basis for a relationship. And I said, and I wrote down my number. He did drive me home, to be fair to him. And then I wrote down my number back in the day when you not put it into a phone. And I wrote, "You're a dirty liar," and then gave it to him. That was well, not a great comeback. But then you think of all the jelly tots as well.
It adds up.
Mate,
On balance, you won.
Yeah. And he put you up for the night, gave you a lift home.
So did you go back with Ian in the hope of rekindling your romance with Joe? Is that what you wanted out? Or did you just know he had jelly tots?
No, I didn't know he had jelly tots. No. I didn't know at that time.
You have reminded me about jelly tots. I'd forgotten about jelly tots. I'm going to have to go and buy some after.
And they're vegan.
What adult eats jelly tots?
Well,
Really cool one.
Okay.
Haven't got a great ending because it's a great true story. Want me to make up an ending?
No. You never saw him. You never saw him
I gave you
again.
reader I married him, but that was just batted away.
Yeah.
You just said I've got 5 kids, all called Joe.
Not with a liar.
Yeah.
I guess the message is, where's Joe?
Yeah, where is Joe?
And
Yeah,
also,
that's where we never got any further than,
actually, I did see Joe in a chicken shop years later.
Are you sure
Was it
was
Joe?
him? Was that-
Yeah. You'll never know.
It's a
another
weird,
bloke.
it's a
Joe.
weird feeling. I've had encounters with people who look very like someone else, and you have whole conversations with them as if. And what's nice is that people, because they're polite, often play along and try to be what you want them to be.
Yeah.
And then you kind of, and then there's that awful kind of stomach dropping feeling of vertigo as you realise within the conversation that they're not who you thought they were, and you're trying to place who you thought they were and who this person is. Because sometimes I've had it with and I know the person in front of me as well, but I don't know who they are or the person I think they are, and then you're just all at sea conversationally.
Yeah, it's awful.
There's nothing.
People should go around with name badges on just 24/7.
More information. Some sort of barcode system where you could scan.
That would have saved me.
Really, everyone should have a little ID tag, surely. Something reasonable.
I've got a couple of members of my family. I don't know their names. I'm not even joking.
There comes a point where
You can't ask.
Yeah.
He's been my uncle for 30 years. I should know. Hey, uncle, how are you? It seems
Good
weird.
news, he'll be dead soon, so then you don't have to worry about it.
Sometimes I feel for people who do it to you because
When you see the headstone, then you can go, "Oh, Morris! Uncle Morris!"
It was Morris. I thought it was Mo or something beginning with M.
you know, if you've been on telly a few times and people recognise you,
No.
but they think they know you personally.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I've got into arguments
yeah.
with people. I got into argument with a woman in a supermarket who insisted that I worked in a childcare department of the council in Woking, and she would not drop it. She would not drop it, and I kept saying, I'm really not. I'm not. And she kept going, but you are though. You work in. I know exactly where you are. I know where your desk is in Woking, and it's like.
Where your desk is.
It's just like.
It's in front of you.
Yeah, literally, I'm not. But then you can't be a dick and say, oh, no, I'm this person. I think you might have once seen me on this show.
Yeah.
Because that's just a dick move, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be
so
terrible,
sometimes now what I've learned to do is just to go along with it and
Or
just go,
do the opposite, get on a tube and go, that's right, you know me from the Quick Fit advert. Thank you.
Are you in a quick fit?
Thank you for bringing it up, yes. Finally, some credit.
Are you the woman in the waiting room?
I'm the only woman.
Uh-huh. But you're not a mechanic in it.
No, because they would only let me carry the clipboard because they were sexist. And I said, let me have a tyre or like that's probably the point. I don't know what they're called. A cloth.
An oil rag.
An oil
You wanted an oily rag.
What thing you were going to say?
A wench.
A wench.
Wench. Is it medieval mechanics?
Why can't I have a wench? You're so sexist.
That's a comely wench you've got there.
Tighten my nuts for this wench. Oh, hang on, I'll write that down. You can watch the rest of this episode on UK TV Play. And now for some extra stories that didn't make the show. Lou, have you ever done yodelling?
Do I look like I am?
I just thought, I'm looking at, of the four of you, I thought Lou's probably more likely to have done yodeling.
Yodeling, no. I
Have I underestimated you, Katy?
I have done. You know, there's that. The Sound of Music is one of my favourite musicals, and there.
Gasp there.
It was a girl.
Horrified.
You're shaking your head. Is that you don't like it?
We'll talk
What
later.
is it? The Von Trapp family singers you don't like?
What don't you like?
You don't like Julie Andrews?
Whoa!
You do like Marmite.
We've moved on from Marmite. Yeah.
Can I make a
Does
confession?
that make her Brexit or Remain?
What's going on?
Hates Julie Andrews, likes Marmite. That's a lever. That's a lever.
Do you know I've never seen The Sound of Music?
What?
I've never watched
Davies, the Nazis and everything.
I love all that.
Oh, it's the Resistance. It's the Resistance. Apparently,
Yeah.
no one in Austria has seen it either. It's not a famous film in Austria because it's
No,
all about
I've heard
occupation of Austria. Yeah. It's like it's not a big deal in Austria. They refuse to acknowledge The Sound of Music.
They wanted an
So you
Austrian
should-
girl in the lead.
Salzburg.
They know about it in Salzburg. I went on the tour, on the Sound of Music tour with my family. I didn't want to do it, but my wife very much wanted to.
I'm so enjoying the image of you on The Sound of Music tour.
Yeah. Well, I was quite in a sulk actually by the time it came around. I was. And
Were they singing
with
the
the
songs
kids-
while this was
with
going
the ki-
on?
well,
What are we going
this
to
guy
do
turns
about
up. He's
Jackie?
This guy turns up and he's our guide, and he says, so first of all, I will take it up and we'll see where she is singing the hills are alive with Sound of Music, and then we'll go and find a pagoda where she's singing I Am 16 going on. And oh God. And I was in the back of this minibus trying to go back to sleep because I was hungover. And
Like a teenage boy.
Yeah, and this guy's going on and on and on, and then my 11-year-old son just says, yeah, all right, where did Hitler live? That's all he wanted to know. And I thought, oh, now I've got a diplomatic incident on my hands. But it turned out to be actually because he was a tour guide. He was a really good historian, and then it kind of switched him on. He just, oh well, if you're interested in that, I can show you where all the Nazis live when they come back from the war, and so that was more interesting, really.
I would pay money to go on that tour guide with you.
Yeah, I'll take you, Ian. I'll show you. Well, yeah, he took us to where Hitler's parents were married.
Yeah.
I lit a candle.
Julie Andrews told a story about how years and years and years later she went back to the spot where they filmed that opening of her going, the hills are alive, up on the thing. And she sort of looked around and there was no one there up on this mountainside. So she thought, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So she just suddenly went, the hills! And then like a big group of tourists came up. It was like, they must think that's what she just does all day.
Recreate that great moment.
Immediately past the hat. Up on the hill, lonely goat herd. That one.
That's the yodeling one. I was
Yeah,
thinking.
yodeling.
That was where it
Yeah,
began,
yeah.
this conversation, that who has done yodeling, because I have tried to sing that song, which is
you?
technically yodeling.
Does yodeling work in the mountains better?
Yeah, exactly that.
Works quite well in here.
No, but is that the point of yodeling? Is that to reach across the mountains?
I guess it echoes nicely.
Echoes, I think, was the thing. It was sort of
Right.
developed from that.
Yeah, maybe.
It's not used anywhere else.
Yeah. It's across the valleys.
Right.
I'll be home at 4 or something like that.
Four.
Now, I presume they just text
Yeah.
down a long tube.
It's one of the many things that have gone since social media. Yodeling.
Yodeling.
I ordered a delivery package from Yodel. Because they also do delivery. Well, actually, I've got to say they're one of the worst, and I want to get this off my chest. Actually, so now's a good time.
You heard them coming though.
I
haven't
did,
they?
well, they didn't come.
They didn't come.
And they said they did, and then you have to go to Hertfordshire to pick up a package. I don't live in Hertfordshire. I've got to come to them. I might as well have just ordered
You don't
it
have
from...
to go to them.
Well, you
This is the whole
do.
point of it.
Well, Alan, that's what I'm talking about.
What was in your package?
I can't remember.
It's a cunning business plan, isn't it? Start up a business, a delivery business, but the trick is, you got to come and get it from us.
You are.
cut down on labour and everything.
Save us a
We
fortune.
will deliver it to you, but over a distance of this much.
Yeah.
Do they put a card through your door saying we came?
I can't remember the
Come
ins
and
and
get it.
outs.
Well,
I just
this is
remember
their bad
thinking-
trick, Yodel, apparently. This is their bad reputation, is that they don't knock, they just put the cards through the door and just move on.
They do
Oh,
that,
they-
yeah, without knocking. I've
Yeah.
had that. I get a card, and I mean, I was in. I
Yeah.
saw the card come through the
Yeah.
letterbox.
And then you open the front door and you see them speeding away.
Yeah, exactly.
I always have a motorbike handy for that exact moment. And a frozen
Yes.
Toblerone.